You've recently made a big decision. Maybe you accepted a better job. Maybe you moved to a new city. Maybe you finally said yes to something you've been avoiding. And for a while, things looked exactly as good as you expected. Then slowly, something started to feel off. Not the thing you decided, but something around it. Something you didn't account for. The race was real, but so was the longer commute, the higher rent, and the team that nobody told you about. The job was better, but the city was lonelier than you imagined. The decision was right, but the thinking behind it was shallow. This isn't bad luck. This is what happens when we think only one step ahead. And almost all of us do it most of the time. In the 1970s, a hedge fund manager named Howard Marks began noticing something strange. The smartest people in finance kept making the same mistake. They would identify a good company, buy the stock, and lose money anyway. Not because their analysis was wrong, but because everyone else had the same analysis. The obvious insight had already been priced in. Marx called the trap first order thinking, which is asking what will happen and just stopping there. Second order thinking asks the next question, not just what will happen, but what will happen because of what happens and what will happen after that. It sounds simple, and it is, but our brains are not wired for it by default. We are wired for speed, not depth. We evolved to solve immediate problems, not downstream ones. The result is a blind spot, a gap between the decision we make and the reality we step into. In the mid 20th century, antibiotics were a miracle. For the first time in history, bacterial infections could be cured, so doctors prescribed them widely for anything for everything. First order thinking said, patient is sick, give antibiotics, patient recovers. That was true. What nobody fully accounted for was a second order. Bacteria evolved. Expose them to antibiotics long enough and they learn to resist. The more we used the cure, the weaker it became. Today, antibiotic resistance is one of the greatest threats in global health, a second order effect that took decades to arrive and will take more decades to undo. Let's look at one more example. You decide to wake up at 5 a.m. every day. More hours, more output, more discipline. Post order thinking would say you get 2 extra hours each morning. But the second order thinking would say your sleep drops from 7 hours to 5. Your focus degrades, your decisions get worse, you produce more, but the quality of what you produce quietly falls. The intervention worked exactly as planned, but the system it was part of responded in ways you didn't plan for. This is the pattern, or change that looks like progress at first level, a cost that reveals itself at the second. Let's apply that to the work world. A manager has an open role on the team. It needs to be filled quickly. There's a deadline in 6 weeks, so they hire the first candidate who's good enough. First order thinking would say the seat is filled, the deadline is met. But the new hired isn't quite right for the culture. The team starts carrying extra load. Two people quietly begin looking elsewhere. 3 months later, the manager has three vacancies instead of one. The shortcut cost twice the time it saved. This is one of the most common and expensive patterns in management, a decision that solves the immediate problem and creates the next crisis. So, how do we apply this model or this concept? Second order thinking is not complicated. It is just a habit of asking one more question. Before any significant decision, write down the obvious outcomes, the thing you're expecting. the result you're optimizing for. Then write down what happens because of that outcome. How do people around you respond? What does the system, the team, the market, the relationship do next? Then ask, how does that affect me in a year or in 5? You don't need a spreadsheet, you don't need an hour. 3 minutes of honest thinking before you commit. That is the entire practice. The goal is not to predict the future, the goal is to expand the picture you're working with. Most bad decisions aren't made by unintelligent people. They are made by intelligent people who looked at the first answer and then stopped. Second order thinking is not pessimism. It is not about finding reasons to say no. It is about seeing more of the board before you make your move. The people who make consistently good decisions don't have better instincts. They just ask one more question than everyone else, routinely, deliberately. Think about the most important decision you're sitting with right now. You already know what you want to happen. What happens after that is what you have to imagine and think about. That question is the practice. It costs you nothing except the willingness to look. That's second order thinking, and it might be the most underused mental tool you have.